and pray. You better get down and pray. You better pray for forgiveness. You better get down and pray for all your dirty business. You better get down upon your knees. Beg the Lord, please, please, please. You better get down and pray. If you think there ain't nobody and it's only just you and me, that's the first time in a long time, honey.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randie Henderson, and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Welcome everyone to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. This is session 3, meaning the third book that we're reading, and meeting 8. Our text is Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. And tonight we are focused on Chapter 7, Notoriously Syphilis-Soaked Race, What Really Happened at Tuskegee. My name is Michelle Odom. I am the co-host of the Reading Circle and tonight's moderator.
Hi everyone, my name is Randie. I am watching from Atlanta, and I co-moderate with Michelle. I'm also at work, so he's all this.
Good evening, everyone. I am Georgette Moses. I'm participating from Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm so happy to be here.
I'm Kim Brandon, and I'm joining everyone from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm grateful that we're having these discussions. Happy about it? I don't know, but I just think it's necessary.
Good evening. My name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Connecticut. Welcome.
I'm Joel Jones from South Carolina. How's everybody doing?
Between 1932 and 1972, 399 Black men were enrolled and monitored in a study on the progression of untreated syphilis, a known killer, without their knowledge or consent. A control group of 200 uninfected men were also added to the population of subjects. Author Harriet A. Washington reveals in Chapter 7, A Notoriously Syphilis-Soaked Race, What Really Happened at Tuskegee. Details about the actors, motives, and actions of those who designed and carried out this well-publicized example of medical violence. By 1955, nearly 1/3 of the autopsied men had died directly of syphilis, and many of the survivors were suffering its deadliest complications, we learn. And further, 40 wives were infected and at least 19 children were born with syphilitic birth defects. Washington begins with an examination of the oppressive conditions among African Americans in Macon County, Alabama, when the Depression-era study was started, and delivers readers to the day in 1997 when President Bill Clinton apologized to the few living subjects whose lives had been forever harmed by intentional acts of the U.S. government. Along the way, she reveals details of her own original research with living members of the ad hoc panel who ultimately ended the study, places the study in the context of other and subsequent medical abuse of African Americans, offers some conclusions about the study's meaning and place in American history and race relations, considers its impact on current research practices, and shares her perceptions of the contributions of the Tuskegee syphilis study to fears Blacks carry about the healthcare system and its impact on the collective health of African Americans. Lessons still unlearned. Washington shares that Macon County Attorney Fred Gray filed a $1.8 billion class action civil lawsuit on July 23, 1973, which named as defendants HEW, the PHS, the CDC, the state of Alabama, and the Milbank Fund, among others. The suit resulted in a 1974 out-of-court settlement for more than $10 million. It yielded a mere $37,500 for each living study participant, $15,000 for his heirs, and nearly $1 million in legal fees for Gray, which was deducted from the payments made to the men. She informs her readers. She also points out that the 1972 end of the Tuskegee syphilis study did not bring an end to medical experimentation on Black Americans. Question 14, what do bullies learn when they succeed? "15. What do you know or have you taught your children about stopping bullies? 16. What incentive does the U.S. government have, or for that matter, any bully, abuser, or oppressor, to cease and desist inflicting pain on his or her victims if the punishment does not fit the crime? Were you satisfied by the out-of-court settlement the men received in 1973 and or the 1997 apology offered by Bill Clinton? How might a focus on ethics help to end the use of Black bodies as experimental subjects? Anybody?
I don't think a focus on ethics would help end the use of Black bodies. I feel like white people know what they're doing, and scientists, know what they're doing. And earlier we talked about how progression of technology wreaks havoc, and I don't think that it was progression of technology or progression of a study that made the Tuskegee experiment so horrendous. It was the fact that white scientists are really doing this, at least in my opinion, reading the chapter, they're really doing this to prove a racist ideology. They didn't really care if syphilis really affected Black people differently. I think they ultimately wanted to prove that it did, if it did, so that they could justify all the hell they've put us through. And if you can say that a disease affects somebody differently, then you can really justify anything. And I think that I don't know what type of punishment these people would have to go through in order to stop what they've done and what they continue to do, especially, like she said at the end of the chapter, this experiment didn't stop anything. She still got like 8 more chapters left. And this is crazy. I don't think I could think of is that they have to meet God. But everybody don't think like that. Everybody's not religious or spiritual. So if you're not, I guess, go kind of crazy thinking that maybe the U.S. and the oppressors and white people and the internalized racist black people won't ever really get justice. And so I think that's where bullies get their fuel from. I don't think they'll ever really be stopped, or people don't really believe they can ever really be stopped, which goes back to the courage and speaking up. And it's just, this chapter was difficult. I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying stuff. I don't even know what I'm saying.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, it was a difficult chapter in a different way from the gruesome one, chapter 5, but very difficult, very sad. But have I ever shared my Dick or Dickie theory with you guys?
Your what?
I don't think so.
This is Michelle's theory of Dick or Dickie. And it goes like this. The Dick is having a good time. The Dickie may or may not be having a good time. If the Dickie is not having a good time, it is incumbent upon the Dickie to find a resolution. Because the Dick-or doesn't have a problem. The Dick-or is having a good time. The Dick-or will continue to have a good time as long as he is allowed to do so.
By the Dickie.
No, by the Dickie.
All right.
So unless the Dickie stands up and says, no,
That's it.
then this will go on forever.
Very good analogy. I like that. Dick or Dickie.
Well, you know the song "Everything is Everything," the expression "Everything is Everything." That's really how my brain works. Everything is everything, and that's why you will see me put bully and abuser and oppressor and Dick-or all in the same sentence, because to me they are all the same person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they function in different arenas, but their behavior is always the same. They are having a good time, they want what they want, they're going to get what they want, and they don't care about the impact on their victim.
Yes.
So if you are waiting on the Dick-or to say, are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in pain?
No.
No.
Can I do something to make this an enjoyable experience for you? Then you're waiting in vain.
Here you go.
So with that perspective, I certainly believe that it is incumbent upon Black people to find the ways to protect ourselves, not only from unjust medical experimentation, but from all of the ways that we are oppressed and abused around the world. And what we call white man, and really, I hate that term for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is when I hear black men say, the man, I want to say to them, who are you? Are you the boy? Are you the child? Are you the helpless victim of the man? Are we not all the man?
Apparently not.
You know, can't we all find some courage? You know, I mean, a lot of what white people do, and you know, and this I know from being around a lot of white people all my life, is a lot of what they do, as insane as we know they are, a lot of what they do is very logical. They stand up for themselves. They defend themselves. And to a large extent, they are so scared of us because they think that we are going to respond like they would respond. They think that we are going to defend ourselves. What does the bully do when he takes your lunch the first day and you don't do anything about it?
Never had that experience.
Well, he comes back tomorrow.
He won't.
And he takes your lunch again. And then by the next day, he's telling you what to put in the lunch.
Oh, see.
You gotta make sure you bring some jello.
Right.
I can't hear no more. That stuff makes me dizzy. I can't hear no more.
You know, what does the bully do? That's what he does.
Yes.
And we know that, and we learned it in kindergarten. So how is it that we keep giving up our lunch? And if you're the mother, everybody here is a parent except Randie, and your child came home hungry, and you said, "Why are you so hungry, little Billy?" "Johnny took my lunch." What? And what did you do?
Child, you have to realize that a lot of children are being raised by bullies. So that's one of the reasons why they have not developed maybe that skill that you might think that you can develop to fight against bullies. I've heard a lot of conversations. I've heard black parents talk to their children in ways I would never think about talking to mine. I've seen them, black, white, and green, bully their children. So a lot of children might have been born with that innate courage, but if you have a parent that bullies you, then you learn to let others bully you too. Now, how many times have I seen a mother, which really makes me feel sick on my stomach? I can't even deal with stuff like that. And the poor child is trying to tell her something. My children anytime they had something to say to me, my son would tell you, I would stop and look in their face to listen to what they had to say. I've seen mothers and fathers, you shut up, Johnny, sit down. I don't want to hear what you have to say. So how can they have courage to stand up for themselves once they don't stay 5, they turn to 10, 15, 20, 50, 80, and that's a problem I find with us.
So are you saying that when we beat our children, we are teaching them to expect an ass whooping from the white man?
Damn straight. When we sit there and we spank, I see, I am against hitting people, period. I know that's how they used to do it. I have never been a recipient of an ass whooping. I've never had one. Okay? But when you are beating your child, and I hate that word, whipping, beating, it just makes me feel sick. Even if you listen to how it sounds sick. What do you think you're doing to your child? You're teaching your child the only way you can learn is if I knock you upside the head, if I whip you or hit you, and you're bullying them. A person this big with a person that big standing over them, hitting them. But that is my opinion. You do have some who feel like the only way for a person to learn is to beat them.
When we're talking about bullying and Dick versus Dickie or Dickor, it seems like those analogies are basically when two people have the same amount of power. And that is systematically not what I see. I see that sometimes it's a sick black person against the United States government. And when I look at Tuskegee, I think there was somebody who went in to see a doctor not knowing that the situation that he found himself into was that the United States government needed to make money off of him, and the system was already in place to kick his ass before he even got there. So I don't know how it equates to being bullied. I think it equates more to terrorism, and that's just my feeling. But I do feel that there's got to be some sort of solution where you come together with like-minded people and start to push back and figure out what your power base is and how to undo some of that.
The one thing I want to say about bullying, because I don't want to leave you all with the wrong impression, is that yes, we are talking about unequal power relationships for the most part. But what I'm trying to say is it always starts somewhere. And sometimes we even have to stand up to a bully that is bigger than us, that is more powerful than us. And how do we challenge ourselves to learn how to do that? You know, I thought a lot. You know, we had a new person who came to visit with us last week, and I thought a lot about the point that she was making, that her parents, and I think she's probably a little bit older than all of us, that her parents had taught her how to say yes ma'am and yes sir and you know, and how to make it through a transaction and that kind of thing. And then later in the week, a friend sent me a video, and it was of a black woman who was a worker at a Walmart in Texas, I think. And a white woman came in and they had some disagreement about something. I don't know. But next thing you know, the white woman headbutted the black woman hard. I mean, you could hear it. Well, I knew the black girl was going to wipe the floor with her.
Death wish. How about a death wish?
Because what else could she do?
I'm trying to laugh.
But that's my generation. She was younger than me.
Yeah.
But that kind of thinking, I think, comes out of my generation, which is the generation of change. And so what I'm saying is we can keep doing what we've always done and getting the results that we've always gotten, or we can challenge ourselves to think about what is within our power to do differently on the chance that we might have a different outcome. I'm like Randie, who says, I'm tired of just surviving. I want to thrive. How is it that Black people are just going to accept the place that has been set for us in the world? Without as much as a whimper? Are we going to become extinct without as much as a whimper? Or are we going to challenge ourselves to become actors in our own lives? And so this was a very painful chapter for me to read because of all of the betrayal by everybody involved. But I also realized that was a time of much greater innocence than we can lay claim to today. Today we know these things happen. And today we know that we cannot afford to move through life with our eyes closed, acting as if we're helpless victims who just have to wait on the man to do whatever it is he's going to do. Who are we? And what are we going to do?
If you ever think hard, honey, how we got here today, you may find it's not funny. You better get down and pray. Well, you better get down and pray. You better pray for forgiveness. You better get down and pray.